Welcome to another edition of this lineup of Jamaican chess videos, some Jamaican chess games. So in this game we're going to look at Kevron Campbell 1842 FIDE versus Miguel Asher 1893. So Miguel Asher is slightly higher rated than Campbell. The game started d4 because tell you a secret, Kevron Campbell is a dedicated d4 player, right? One said that you won't catch him dead playing e4. All right, so knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3. So we have the classical d4 build up. This person Miguel Asher played d5, which is the Grunfeld defense. So right away I'm guessing that he's a dynamic player. So by the way, the Grunfeld defense is a defense that I took for granted, right? Even though I saw Garry Kasparov play it, I never liked it because for one, Anatoly Karpov could easily squeeze out a win or a draw from the Grunfeld defense against Garry. He basically busted the Grunfeld defense, made Garry have to switch back to the King's Indian defense, which is more solid. But the Grunfeld defense is a very theoretical defense, and if you're not careful, you can get into some very sharp positions. So d5, bishop f4. So right, so Kevron is a solid player. Miguel is a dynamic player. Kevron is solid, and that's why he plays the Petrosian style bishop f4. I have once been playing bishop f4 against the Grunfeld to take out a lot of the dynamics away from it. So bishop f4 is very solid, right? If you're having trouble against the Grunfeld defense, just play the bishop f4 and you're going to get out of a lot of theory, and I think white will have a clear slight advantage. So bishop g7, e3, castle, rook c1, c5, and takes on c5. Queen comes to a5. I'm a bit skeptical about that capture that Kevron did on c5. He takes on d5, and then Miguel plays knight e4, queen c2, and then bishop comes to f5, and then bishop d3, takes, and then take right there. And then he brought out the knight to the e2 square, which it's less effective on the e2 square, right? That knight should have went to f3 from where he control e5 square, stopping any e5 assault from black. Now the rook comes to e8, putting some pressure on that pawn, so you have to defend the pawn. Right, so knight a6, getting some development, castle, and then the knight comes to harass the queen. All right, queen b3, and then as we said, the knight was essential to f3. So with the knight on e2, e5 can be played. I gain a little tempo, and rook come down. I think in this position black can just play f6 and then f5, but rook comes down, and now e4. Right. I think black should have played f6 to gain that tempo on the bishop, and then get to play the move e4, and then I think this would be a very pleasant position for black, because the knight is getting access to d3, and this pawn is going to be clamping down on white's position. Anyhow, in the game, rook d7 was played, and that allows white to play e4 and cement this pawn on d5, so moves like b5 won't work. b6. Now you have to ask yourself, what is that black knight doing on b4, right? Can't go to c6, can't go to d3. If you go back to a6, you have to ask yourself why you went to b4. So bishop e3, and queen retreats, and right, c5, and right, c5 is a strong move right here. Knight went to a6, and this is where Kevron make a mistake. You know, he took on b6 with the idea of winning a pawn. I think a better move, the right move, would be to push your pass pawn, right? Push your pass pawn, protected pass pawn, by the way. So took that pawn, and then this rook came here with the pin, so you can't win a pawn for now. The queen step up, attacking the knight, and then he recapture the pawn. Rook up. Now the knight posts itself on that square, and the knight is looking rather good on that square, right? And reminding white that the a2 pawn is a weakness, so the knight jumps in, and you can see the knight here is defending the pawn and defending two pawns, so that's a good knight. Bishop comes back. Black is overprotecting this pawn, this knight I mean, and this knight is protecting this pawn. Alright, so this rook comes here to alleviate any pressure on this knight. This knight went here. Now came f5 and f3. f4, I don't really believe in this move, right? This move shuts down the position, right? A better move would be to take on e4, right? That would given black some more dynamism, but he shut down a lot of the dynamism with f4. Now the knight comes here, attack the bishop, and white finally wins the pawn that he was after all this time. But black said, hey man, have counterplay. I don't really think that black has enough for the pawn. I don't think that this attack by black is going to work. Alright, first Kevron begin to get his pieces out of that pin, and Miguel said, alright, let's use that pin. But in this position, Kevron found a nice move, right? After you have been playing very solidly, we just finally the position heats up and you find these tactics. Rook take bishop, right? If the knight takes the rook, then the queen will be happy to take back, and then black is completely lost. So the idea that Miguel have was that if you took back with knight or rook, then bishop no longer protect f2. So use that temporary lack of coordination to drive the king over in the corner, and then knight e1, saying that he has checkmate. I'm wondering what happens if the white rook simply retreat to c1. Right now, two rooks attacking the knight, the bishop attacking the queen. What is right? Oh, right. If rook comes down, then queen check is working, because after bishop block, you're going to lose this rook. Right. What happens after queen check? King here, queen takes check, king here, queen check. Oh, not even queen check, but right, this knight and queen is threatening a checkmate right here, so we don't even have time to play rook up and threaten checkmate ourselves. If this checkmate wasn't being threatened, then we could simply play rook here, and then white is just winning. What else can well, the only thing white can do here is just get this perpetual. Nothing else that white can do right here. So after rook down, it's a sure draw, but Kevron found the winning move, which is queen check, king move out of the way, and then rook check. So this is a discovery check against the queen. Alright, right here you give up two rooks for a queen, but you're already up a piece because you use your rook to capture his bishop, which is a very good bishop, by the way. Alright, queen check. Notice that the queen forks the king and the rook. King move out of the way, and you can't take this guy because of this check. Have to block with the bishop, and then that's checkmate. So the move that Kevron played in the game was a losing move. He played right, so this is a losing move, and then he saw that this is a losing move and played another losing move. Right. Well, you know, he's not a grandmaster, he's not a super grandmaster, so right, you know, he can calculate so much, you know, and this move lose because, all right, after the knight goes to d3, well, we have numerous threats here. Right, so we are threatening the queen, and we are threatening to play knight here, checkmate. Even bringing down this rook down here, that this was my initial idea. That would be dangerous. He played this move, played h3, hanging his queen. Right, I'm not expecting this from Kevron. Right, first thing you should think about is a check. So this checks the king, and alright, so Kevron lost this game, right? He gave up his queen, but he lost his queen, but this is where more excitement starts, right? So after king g8, he shouldn't play queen take rook, and he definitely shouldn't play bishop to g1. What he should play is check, and after king g7, white is completely winning. But it gets complicated, right? Finding this other check is very easy. That's why you're not supposed to play bishop g1. You need to get in this check, and as you can see, the king is forced out of the way. Now Fritz suggests that white play the move g3 in this position, right? So it suggests the move g3, and then knight takes, then king here, knight takes the bishop, queen check, rook block, queen take check. Yeah, you shouldn't play king h5 because you're not an idiot. g5, queen f6 check, forking the knight and the king. Only move is rook block, and after queen take knight, this is obviously a win for white, right? White is just going to push his pass pawn, and he has an extra knight, so this knight can just swing somewhere over on the king side to ensure that the king is protected, probably to f3, where it protect the h2 pawn. And this is completely winning for white. If Kevron could, in his mind's eye, spot this position, then he would have played it and win a nice game. Right. The line that I looked at before consulting with the computer was after the move queen e8 queen e8 check, king g7, bishop to d4 check, king h6. I looked at queen f8 check. After queen h5, computer is suggesting g3 again. Everything has to come with check here, so I consider g4 check, pawn take, h take, and then oh, by the way, h take in this position is losing. The correct move is something like bishop. By the way, this position after g4 check, the position is losing, right? Because of pawn take, h take, and the move that I was looking at was that black was going to play knight check to try and win my bishop. Then king goes up, then you take the bishop, check, king goes here, check, forking queen and rook, g5, take this pawn, And right here, white is just completely winning. Right, the only thing left to do is just take this pawn, king here. Right, notice black can't check here or check here. Knight is hanging. If you take this pawn, the queen can come down with check. Right, we don't need to analyze this any further. Right, white is just winning after knight c2 check, but white is losing after knight d3 check. And the idea here is that white is going to get checkmated, because if you play bishop here, rook c2, g5, and then the computer announced mate in like 7, and if you don't play bishop down, if you play king up, then rook check. If you block with the bishop, that's mating like 2, and if you play king here, then that's mating 1. Right, so that is why g4 check is losing, and you just have to find this knight d3 move, calculate it, and you see that g4 is losing. Right, so after this, you can still play g3 and retain your honor as white, because knight takes check, king here, knight take, and can you play queen take here, threaten checkmate here. What happened after rook check, king here? We're threatening this checkmate. Yeah, the only move I see to stop it is g5. You can try knight here, but that looks like we take a knight with check. If you play knight here, check, king here, check, send your back down, and then bring back the queen here with the same checkmate. You have to play g5 anyway. So what happened if g5? We have this check, or right, we have check, king here, checkmate. Right, so that's how Kevron could have won his game, right? Instead of playing bishop to g1, instead of playing bishop to g1, could have calculated some more. I'm sure that he looked at this check, but probably he saw the king was running away, because you know, this g3 move, man. Who calculates g3? Right, g3, you're hanging this pawn and this bishop with check, but the end result is you are going to get back the material, and the end result is that the end game is just completely winning for you. So thanks for watching my video, and